obvious that I started some kind of streaming and video and all that? No, it's not obvious. Welcome to FlordaJS. We're going to be talking about security and preventing malicious actors on your site. What I'm going to talk about isn't precisely what for the students that were told that this is going to be about security and all that. We're going to talk more about. We'll see what it is that we're talking about here in a minute. But once again, please interrupt me. I don't have any issues with that, and I want to hear your opinion on it. This one, perhaps it doesn't require your opinion. I am a Damien developer, and yes, that is a little tick on my name, and technically that's actually how you spell my name. Now you guys know, but I don't mind if you don't use the tick when you spell it out, when you put it on the bottom of my of the next sort of information you get from me and all that. So I've been around for 23 years. I've been around for a lot more than that, probably like 3 times that. But the truth is, I've been programming for 23 years. So in 1999, I started programming as the internet guy. That was my official position because A, this is a male-dominated business, and hopefully that will change, and B, because yes, they didn't know what to do with me other than give me this internet stuff. So I made the website and set up the email address and stuff like that. But now I do a lot more than that. I do mentoring and training in SRT labs, and Todd is kind enough to let me every so often pretend that I'm a teacher there at his amazing school at Boca Raton. I love JavaScript and I love servers and IT. I'm fascinated with security, believe it or not, and I love to figure out what's going on whenever any site is being attacked, or whenever anything that is happening, whether it's an attack on a blockchain, or it's an attack on crypto, it's an attack on websites, and all I want to know is how it happened and what's going on with that. And I'm just fascinated. I hope you are too. So what I want to do is I want to oh wow, why is there a line there? That's a little bit weird. Oh, because I was getting a notification. Okay, well, let's fix that right now. Well, okay, perfect. So, and in here, I want to hear all you. What we're going to talk isn't so much. It will be hackers, but you'll see that we're also going to talk about simply people hitting the websites too many because we got too much traffic. We got the Super Bowl ad and it worked very well. We're also going to talk about the fact that something is hitting us that wasn't supposed to. So it was it's not supposed to be there, or something happened, and Dennis can help us with that example of something happened. So malicious actors in this case isn't just simply a hacker that's coming in from this big boogie place, and it's coming in and oh my goodness, and we're going to finish in 10 minutes. Okay, we're going to, what in the world is going on? See, it is amazing that we're doing that. So please, if we get kicked off, come join me in the exact same link. The exact same link will work in a minute and all that. And I do apologize. I actually pay for this, but apparently I'm being called a fool and I'm being told that I'm not dead. So I'll see if we can do it. But this conversation will continue. The same link will work. Just whenever you get kicked off, come back in. We'll let everybody else in there. So really, let's start on different things. So like we said, one of the major ways that we can talk about what's happening, what is going on, is when we get too much traffic. And this is something that we have to be aware of. And I have a good story about this and an example, and maybe I should stop with this graphic because it's going to drive me crazy. We sometimes want to stop, and please excuse me here. We have this code and we'll talk about it in a second, but just bear with me here. We want to stop someone that's hitting our website too much. And in this case, it could be someone's malicious, someone that's sending information that's bad, someone that's trying to insert something into our database that's corruptive or in any which way unenjoyable, not enjoyable, but something we're not looking for. So I'm sure you have an examples of this. And one of the things we have is, I don't know if you all know, I help run Samples API. And Sample API is what you can think about. It is a website you can hit, and please do so. You're welcome to sort of tab out of it, open it, or just remember it in the future. Sample APIs, and you can see here that this is from the Sample API source code that's available on GitHub. And Sample APIs is a way for you to get access to a sample of data, the historical prices of Bitcoin, the current presidents or leaders of each one of the countries in the world, the current flags of each country in the world, Todd's favorite, a list of coffees, and now you're welcome. A list of those pictures of those exact coffees, so you can make a wonderful website that shows you the stuff. But what we were worried about when sample APIs was, what if someone hits us pretty hard? In other words, if they start hitting it because they're malicious, as in they want to bring down the website because they don't like it, or because there's something going on. And so therefore we utilize this service called express rate limit. You see at the very top. This is Node code if anybody's asking. And then we put there, and as you can see there, we choose, and it might be kind of English to read, we choose every 5 minutes your IP address, and that's what's the U, can do a maximum of 500 requests. So if I get 500 requests from 500 different people, it will go through. If I get 1,000 requests from 100 people, those will go through. It's when your IP address hits the sample API website more than 500 times in a 5-minute period. And we reply with a message. I'm not sure which error we reply back. It's an automatic service. And then this sits in the code, if you think about it, where the middleware goes, where the authentication would normally goes.
Damien,
please,
yes. Should be a 429.
429, thank you. I
Rate
appreciate
limit
that,
exceeded.
yes. I have a feeling that, so this is a third party, so I'm sure it replies it, but yes, that's important. And we should all remember 429. Thank you, Joel, I appreciate that. But as you can see, there's a line there under skip, which is a particular IP address. I shouldn't be showing everybody, Todd, but this is a particular IP address. So let's just say a particular school that's north of Iron Hack. Let's just say with so that way you guys won't know which one it is. And what I needed, I should have changed it. Sorry about that. What I needed is I needed to say there are certain situations where this is okay, where I'm okay with having 500 requests in 5 minutes. And that is, for example, at a school, or perhaps at my house. If I'm doing a lot of tests, if I'm doing a lot of different things, I want to stop that. And so I have this sort of flagged open for different things. So any questions with that? So this is one of the issues that we have. We have a malicious issue hitting us several times. So that's one of the things I want to bring up as something you should be aware of as a web developer to be aware of. Okay. Another issue, and this is going to get boring really quick because you're just listening to this, and I think they're hilarious until I realize this is going to go on for like 3 minutes and all that. So the CAPTCHAs, you guys all know it, we all hate it, but it is a way that we can prevent someone that's going to submit 30,000 different submits, and we, you know, you might say, you know, I hope you figured it out. Ludwig, how are you, my friend? Welcome. So we're in the middle of the presentation. We're just talking about stopping malicious actors, and one of them is CAPTCHA. Everybody knows that. So here is where you have to prove the word. I hope this never exists. This was a, you know, I typed in CAPTCHA funny on Google Images or in Jiffy, and this came up. But you've seen it before. It's Google CAPTCHA, and we can talk about different services. Please, if you have your favorite one.
You know what this reminds me of? It's like, you know, they put like child proof, you know, child resistant lock, you know, things on like drug containers.
Yes.
And you know, when I was a kid, my mom used to always have me open them for her because I could always open them and she couldn't. You know, this is like, if you were a robot, this would probably be really easy to read, right?
100%. Yes.
I just want to also, you know, since a few people came in since you made the announcement.
Yes.
There's a problem with this Zoom call. So it's going to end in 3.5 minutes.
Thank you.
We're just going to jump back, use the same link to come back in. So, you know, we might lose a couple people, but hopefully all will join us in a few minutes when we restart.
Thank you, my friend. Again, I'm not sure what's happening. We pay for this. I'll confirm that we pay for this. So we should not have had this problem. This is the second time in a row. I think last year or last month, Zoom decided that it wasn't working. We switched to Google Meets.
On Tuesdays, you can use book code.
Okay. In the future, we'll do that, Tom. I think that will be a good solution for this and all that. I would be happy to do that. Right now, it's Tech Hub that's sponsoring, and I'd love that to switch to Book of Code. I think I say it enough times that I think we pretty much are pretty much sponsored by Book of Code. So we normally have these events in the future, like we saw. You weren't there for top, but I talked that we would have future events in here. Getting back, what we're looking at is way to prevent someone from submitting. And what I had before, the rate limit, is talking about an API or a particular page. You're not allowed to make more than 500 requests per. Sorry, they're jumping around. Per 5-minute window. So if you made your 501st, you're going to get the error, the 419. Thank you, Joel, for that. And then the message, too many requests that you see there, please try again in 5 minutes. And truly, if it's been 5 minutes for you, you really have to wait a couple of seconds. And then, you can now have a sliding window if you can remember that, what's going on. But the other one, the next one, is for forms. And you might see it in other situations. And I'll talk about these other situations before. I realize I don't have a particular slide that I'll go back to perhaps with this one. But this is something we have to be aware of, and we can try this out together. We can look at the different options. It's super easy to code. Google has a great one that does not have those letters. The worst one I've seen, and I apologize for leaving it here with this little animation, is one from Roadblocks. My daughter used to love that. Now she's moved on. She's far beyond that, right? So she doesn't do that anymore. But one of them is this little. You have to pick which is the animal that's facing the right way up. Apparently, I don't know what way up animals face, so I've seen often that I chosen the wrong one. So and apparently with that one, with the puzzle piece that you have to aim it right, or the if you guys will see it, or the animal that has the right. Apparently, it's easy for computer and AI vision to figure out those. So apparently, what is hard for us is easy for computers, and so and this one definitely, you're right, Todd. I think this was probably easier for computer. Really, really hard for us. And I want to bring this up. This is some of the things, some of the actions you can take. So we have an issue. We see we're getting a lot of traffic. We've had this that we talked about in security. What do we do? One of the options is to not necessarily ban the user, but shadow ban the user. Have you guys all heard this? Do you have any knowledge of what this is? So I'm seeing some shaking heads and all that. What shadow banning is, so think about banning. So I'm going to be banned from walking into a nightclub for whatever reason. That's a bad example, but let's just say I'm banned. So I can't walk in there. I'm banned from getting to the back of the stage because I'm not part of the musical group. So I'm join us
JS
again.
number 2.
Look at Josh burning the midnight oil still at the school.
Nice, Josh. Nice work. All right.
Josh was when I left, Josh was busy recruiting a student, but the student didn't need to be recruited yet because he was already signed up. So, but I love the sentiment. But still, it's good for like the current students and the new students to be.
Well, it sounded like you had some. Okay, perfect. So it looks like we're all back in. I do apologize. Let's see.
Looks like half.
Half. You're right. I'll wait a little bit for that.
2/3. 2/3.
So thank you everybody for joining us. Let's see, what we're going to do is, wow, did I stop? I did. Let's see.
What have you done, Damien?
I know what's crazy is I literally stopped. So we are all doing things. Let's see. Oh my God, that is amazing. We are in. Sweet. Let's admit Seabass is coming here. All right. All right. So give me one quick second as I prepare things over here. So you guys have all been banned. We were banned. As I said it, they banned us. That was impressive. So
Karma.
What's that?
Karma.
Yes. We shouldn't say those words. So perfect. Let's make sure we have in here. So thank you everybody for joining. My sincere apologies one more time. We will by we, I mean I will make sure that we solve this ridiculousness of the things with Todd's help, so that we don't have to get plugged in like it. So one more time, we're talking about banning and what we can do with it once we figured out the users, and we'll talk about different ways you can figure out what to do with the user. One of the options, just because it was something that I was researching, I came through, was this idea of a shadow ban. So what this means is we tell the user they're in, but we don't do anything. And Reddit is famous for this. Reddit is famous for shadow banning, as in, and you've seen this in Twitter. You'll see this because you'll see, for example, a particular post. This is what shadow ban is. You'll see a particular post that says there are 4 replies. You click on it and you'll see 3 replies. One of the users were shadow banned. So essentially, they are not interacting with the rest of the world, but they haven't realized it. And if they check, they see their own comments, but we don't see their own comments. So that's one option to do, is just sort of what we can do once we figured out what to do. Oh, I'm jumping all over the place. I do apologize. So we can, going back, just a review, we can ask them for rate limit to figure out what's going on. We can ask them if they're filling out a post for a CAPTCHA. And one of the things that is a little bit old, and then here I had to use a code that Joel will know very well, but it's from Classic ASP, but it might come back, is when you request the website, we give you a token. Now, this is different than authentication. And that token is meant, and it's going to expire soon. Not only expire soon, it's meant for your browser, and the API that's going to be hit when you create a new user will include this hidden input that you can see that it's hidden, right? And so that's something we can do. If there is so essentially what we taught in Boca Code was that, we should think as the API endpoints, we should think of the backend. The front end, everybody can see, but the back end doesn't necessarily come from our forms. And that's something we should get in our heads. It doesn't mean that if we put those things together and we push them up live, that they're together in which way. We have to prove that the front end goes to the back end. So when we create the front end code, this was more when we used to do pages that weren't like React and all that. But when we create the front end code, we could give that person a unique code that represents them. We don't know who they are, but it represents them. So they need that code going forward. And this is not authentication. It's just simply a way to go and say each and every single create user will need a little bit of extra. We're just making things a little bit harder.
Would you liken this more like to almost like a session key?
It definitely session key. It can be authentication token. It is similar to things, and that's what I have in Next and all that. But it doesn't necessarily have to be. But yes, that's a perfect analogy, my friend, and that's a perfect word for it.
The point that some folks might not get here, Damien, is that it's set up as a form field, so it's going to be submitted back with the form. And what we're saying is, if a form submission lands at the server and doesn't have this value, then we're suspicious about where that form submission came from. So the actual view state in ASP.NET, you're right, I do recognize it, actually carried information. It actually had the view in it. It was base64 encoded version of the view.
Right.
But the more accurate term for what you're trying to describe would probably be a nonce.
It is exactly a nonce, or never once. It is. That's where it is. Never again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's where the server sends a piece of information and it expects to see it reflected back. And if it doesn't get it back, it doesn't know who's talking to it.
Exactly. And it sounds a lot like a token, but it's something just to be aware of. And then when it comes to things with React or server pages or PWAs, this might not work because essentially you're going to be calling the server to get this nonce, and then you're going to be expected to send it in when you do the nonce. So if you think this sounds a lot like the JWT, right? So with this, this is maybe jumping out a little bit, but when we think about malicious actors, sometimes what we forget is what we learned yesterday in Book of Code, and what we should all think about is our endpoints are accessible to the world. Our website is accessible to the world. Everybody seems to get that, right? Hey, I'm not going to put in somehow in the front end code something that's unique, right? If there is an unbelievably patented formula that is only for backend for that should be used by our system, and you've paid $100 a month to access it, we're going to hide that, and we're going to put it in the backend, in the middleware, on the security logic back in the server. Nobody gets that, but we sometimes forget that when we're hitting the backend, anybody can hit it. And we can hit it with Postman, or we can look at what's going on. I can open up right now. This is a web page, right? This is a Google Docs that you're seeing this presentation. So I can look at something and see some information in there and simply recreate it. We'll look at that in a second. So it's just a reminder of that. We have to secure our backends. We have to figure out a way to make it difficult for it to do things on the backend. So we figured out what's going on. We've tried everything, and this one user is just a pain. And we've had this issue. Some of you have heard me and Todd working with a particular individual that we were like, well, this is an individual that's hitting our website too many thousands of times, and we want to limit them. This is an individual that we want to shadow ban. Think about the fact that sometimes we can ban an IP address. That is a unique person. It is a unique IP address that doesn't necessarily mean it's a unique person, just to be clear. We can also, and we'll talk a little bit about an IP address. An IP address, for example, my phone has it, my house has an IP address. In Boca Code or in any kind of enterprise, you have an IP address, and it's pretty much the same IP address forever. And my house is that case. Yours may be different, but my phone gets constantly new IP addresses. So if we were to ban an IP address and you're like, that's a solution. We have a particular IP address that's hitting us all the time. They're doing something malicious. What can we do? We have to be aware of the fact that even if we ban them, they could get a new IP address, and without even thinking, right? My phone, without me doing anything about it, the moment I move far enough, gets a new IP address. So just be aware of all those type of things. Another thing we can do, and you can see at the very bottom, is ban an ISN, an ASN. And an ASN is more like a group of IP addresses, usually owned by an organization or a corporation. And so what I'm saying is in a corporation, or say a nonprofit or a government entity. And of course, we can ban a whole country. I often wonder if we're saying we're getting a lot of things from Nigeria. Now, this is one of the most populous countries in the world, so this is not a good idea to ban Nigeria. But back in the early aughts or zeros or 2000s, there was a lot of Nigerian princesses. Apparently, they were all over the place and they were contacting all of us. So my thought at one point was, can we ban the whole country? And you can.
No, Damien, I just found out that one of my ancestors is a Nigerian prince that just died, and they left me money. $10 million.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Just got an email about this.
Heather
how much
loves
money
that.
do you have to send?
How much money did you have to send?
To get it.
You have to send money?
I just have to send $10,000 to cover the legal.
And listen, that's a drop in the bucket to the 10 million he's getting.
Yeah,
so I would say that
totally worth it, right?
Definitely worth it and all that. So, this is something just to think about and what's going on there. Truly, at this moment, I want to open it up. This isn't the end of the presentation. What I want this moment is we can jump into different things. We can look at the different things. We can look at captchas and how to raise. But this is where you come in. So before we do, and by the way, just to let you, the rest of you guys know, before we do, at the very end, we give away a license to JetBrains, which sponsors these events. But before we do that, I want to ask you, what is something of a malicious, what is an example of something you've seen in your life or that you've heard about in a project where there is a malicious actor acting against a website that you know of or another website or your own ones? All that. Any examples you know?
I was the guy who turned in Robert T. Morris Jr.
No, not Junior.
Yes.
Oh, but his son. Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, the one who created the first internet malware.
Virus.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Now we know who to blame. I mean, to thank. I meant to say thank.
No,
Did I say blame? I meant thank.
I felt so bad for him. So
tell me. So, and I mean, in that one, how did you find him out?
Well, my buddy Steve, who did TCP/IP and Unix with me, we were working late at night. Well, I was working late at night. It was like 10 p.m. or so. Steve was in California. Steve was in LA.
Right.
And all of a sudden, our system started getting attacked.
Amazing.
By a whole variety of avenues, a whole bunch of different exploits.
Right.
And he didn't penetrate any of our stuff, but that was.
But you could see it.
Yeah, not the first real bad thing I ever saw, because I'd had computer viruses show up even before that.
Right.
But that was like one of the most memorable ones.
So that's it. So when it comes to TCP/IP, the C in TCP/IP is for Joel. So just now you guys all know. So, that's what it is, right?
No, VintSurf did it. So
VintSurf. So the V in TCP/IV is for VintSurf, as you can see.
VintSurf.
Yes, I
if anybody doesn't know that, Vint is a vice president at Google.
Nice. And your personal friend?
No.
You should be.
Acquainted, but not friends.
It's amazing. So it is something. So I normally explain to people, Dennis, that is. So he wasn't there for the PC, but he was here for the AT. So the AT in personal, IBM AT, you know what I mean? IBM PC AT, PC/AT. The A in AT is for Dennis. It's amazing. It's really amazing.
I hate to admit it, Damien, but I was actually there to test chips before the PC. So
I hear you.
But we won't get into ages. But I'll tell you something about captchas.
Tell me.
Web designers.
Wait. The chips that Dennis is referring to, when he was, when the coders were coding, they were etching it into stone,
right? And
he was collecting the chips that were coming off of the stone.
Oh my God! I had a professor in college whom a long time ago, who made us build a computer out of rocks.
Wow.
We had to move the stones from register to register.
I explained to people that my dad was into programming before I was, and he's so old. He did a database with just zeros. Apparently, you did a database and you didn't even need zeros, just stones. That's impressive.
Joe, we'll have to talk offline.
Absolutely.
And Damien,
tell me about the captcha.
Your comment about computers and old, don't even get started on that one. We'll go there someday. But on captcha, there's one particular very large billing company that they make you fill out. You get a bill in the mail, and you can call and talk to a human and whatever. But I never like to talk to a human, so you just do it online 24 hours a day.
Right.
And they make you fill out. First of all, put in all this information, then they make you put in all your information about your address and all that. And that they already know it, but I guess they're using it for verification. But it literally takes about 5 minutes to fill out all this information. And then at the very bottom of the form, it has this little captcha. And honestly, this one particular company, this one particular billing system, no matter what you do, even if it just says dad in plain English, you type in dad and it says wrong, and then it makes you start over again. So it's one of the most frustrating things. If they're going to verify that you're a human, I think they should do it kind of up at the front if they're going to be doing a lot of information gathering. So
well, the real problem there is, why do they even bother to clear the form?
Right.
Well, but no, I mean, well, it's, I guess, because you're putting in security. No, you're putting in a credit card. You're putting in everything there. So
but most captchas aren't done through a form. They're done on the client side.
Well, all I know is at the end of the day, when you try to submit it, and so I usually wind up having to wait till in between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. and call a human, and they say, "Oh yeah, we hear this all the time." And I'm like, "Well, why don't you fix it then?" So anyway, so it's just a comment about, if you're going to verify something, try to do it up front before you, it's just a bug of frustration.
Or are they shadow banning you? Yeah. They knew you.
Yeah, if you do the captcha up front, how do we know that the person isn't turning it over to an automated system after they fix the captcha?
Right. Anyway, it was just a comment. I just think since everyone here will wind up designing webs, it's just, for some things like verification, it's good to get it out of the way and then you put in all that.
I could write a whole book on people with bad websites. Every doctor in my family is making us use this HELO thing, HEALOW, and it sucks. They need to go read, Bob Martin's book on clean code.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. So it absolutely. What's crazy is I just realized I'm kind of responsible for some of these things. I actually created for a company. They came to us. We won't name any names, please, Todd. About like how to get around this automated system, and it was one of these James has to take off. See you, James. They had said, we got to get around this, prove that you're human. And we did. We built a system that went around it. Captchas are hard, and they weren't using captchas. They were using other systems similar to the Google reCAPTCHA. I'll put that in the chat.
They were literally so they had lists of legitimate leads that had come in through a website.
Well, let's not give too much detail.
Yeah, and they were trying to
get around some of the system that was preventing them.
Yeah, they were trying to sell those leads.
Yeah,
and they had to be validated. So they were they wanted us to do this validation. It was not.
So it's crazy, and it is a cat and mouse game that we work on. So in the future, let's talk. If you have to get around these things, right? Like we talked about those little things. Have you ever seen the puzzle that you have to slide over, or the little characters you have to figure out which cow is in the right place? I don't know if you guys have seen that. Perhaps I'm watching too much of the videos of the games. I'm helping my daughter too much with the video games she plays with, and they are all trying to figure that out. Eventually we will, when we have the VR headsets, we'll have to figure out a captcha, right? So you have to go and write your name, while you're doing these things eventually. So I can't wait to see what captcha looks like in VR games, right? That's going to be something where it's exactly, Josh. So that's the way to do it. So that's just something we should all be aware of. Did you guys ever have an experience with captcha that didn't work, where you're you could not get through?
Yes, absolutely, but I can't remember where.
Yeah, but they usually have where you can like request another one. So I've seen some where I'm like, I can't tell what that is, you know, or like the words where you.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh!
I can't read that.
No, so but I found a CAPTCHA that didn't work right.
Right.
So even if you put in the right answer, it still rejected it.
Yeah, well, no,
you just couldn't get past it.
and my problem was I had that at the bottom. So you can request a new CAPTCHA, but at the end of the day, they never let you get through.
Well, what's worse, and let's hope that we don't all fall under that, is like a long form and the CAPTCHA at the bottom. And then the worst, I think that's even worse, and you get the CAPTCHA wrong. Now the whole form is either blank or some pieces like the passwords are blank, and you're like, oh my gosh, right? Which is the one that's going on in there? So, but listen, I think we could have a full, I don't know if we had it. I think, Joel, you might have had a presentation like this on form validation and the right way of doing things and all that. And I know, Todd, and when you teach, you emphasize this, you know, I care a lot that the user is happy and that the user can get something. But please, if there's going to be a CAPTCHA, receive the information or ask for the CAPTCHA first, right? And, you know, before the long form, or at the very least, when you get the CAPTCHA wrong, you know, don't submit. You know what I mean? There is options to do that and
sure.
Continue on that way. And all
just
that.
For all of you who are programming this stuff, avoid server-side CAPTCHAs.
Server-side CAPTCHAs.
Well, that's the problem that Dennis was running into, where he would have to do the CAPTCHA and then submit the form. Right. And the server was validating the CAPTCHA, and it was saying, no, your CAPTCHA was bad. Sorry, try again.
Excuse me. Do I have to bring back the slide that says
use client
secure
side
your API, because Joe, that's the only way we do it.
Yeah. Well, yes and no. I mean, the CAPTCHA and the request for a new image and stuff should all take place on the client side. Then the client should verify it before we try to send the form. And then, and then it should be sent with the form so that the server can also do the verification.
Right.
But the reality is you should try to get the CAPTCHA out of the way on the client side, not rely on a round trip to validate the CAPTCHA for the initial validation.
Right, that I hear, and I can get behind that. Absolutely.
Yeah, so the point is you want to look for a technology you can plug into the web page that accomplishes that.
Right.
Okay. Rather than one that asks you to type it in and then waits to send it to the server before it rejects it.
Right. Absolutely. So do you I'm a big fan of it. So this form, have you guys all seen the reCAPTCHA from Google? Just a quick there's a link in it. I'll just give it 2 seconds of it, but this is what it looks like. It's really basic form. There is examples of code, so once we have this, I'll do a brand new one. You'll see what's going on in here. Let's just say DamianMontero.com, and then they're going to give you this thing and all that. And don't worry, I'll delete this. So if you saved it and you didn't catch me, it's fine. It's a brand new one. And then they show you, it's really simple. Fill in the form normally. You know, you'll need to log on to your Gmail account. And let's be honest, you now give, if nobody knew if Google didn't know what they were doing at your website, when they hit the CAPTCHA, Google knows that everybody's gone to your website. So if you care about privacy, that's an important thing. But here they have examples of what to do on the back end with on the client side. Obviously, it's JavaScript, but on the back end they do have different. Let me see if I'm proved wrong. Oh no, I'm proved wrong. I thought they had so you can do things with, just simply an API. I thought they had an SDK on each one of the languages, but anyways, I'm wrong about that. So, but follow the link that's in the chat right now. Definitely, let me know with that. It is something you should be comfortable with. Look at the link. Oh, just to remind everybody, there is always at slide.flordajs.com until the next event next month. There will be the link for these slides. So if there is something that you'd like to find out, it's right there just to know. One last thing before we go, and let me give away some of the before it gets too late. We can give some of these things away. Before we do that, I gotta wipe out the list. Next month will be an unusual month. We usually don't meet. We meet the Tuesday of the first Tuesday of every month. We've doing this for the last 5 years, except for earlier this year where I really screwed up. It was on the first of the month, and I really got caught up. We will always meet there, except next month. So next month, you guys know Jernbo. So Jernbo or Jeremy Lawson is one of the organizers, the original organizer with me with this event. He will be joining us. We will figure out whether it's online or in person. We want to make it in person. We'll have to ask Todd. You guys can all help me by doing pretty please, and we'll check, Todd, if this is a good day for you and Boca Code. We'll probably do it at Boca Code so that it is in person. Let me know by email or any which way if there is if you guys are coming, but that's something just to be aware of. So it's not the next first Tuesday of the month. We're going to skip that. It's the first Thursday of the month. In this case, it's July 7th. So exactly in 31 days. 31 days? How many months? How many days does June have? Whatever it is, plus whatever today is. 31
30 days.
Okay,
it's 30 days from today.
So 30 days from exactly today will be our event. So let's pick some winners.
Damien, I am positive that you can use the school.
Okay.
I am not positive that I can be there.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Then we'll go ahead and thank you, Todd. We'll figure that out when we're doing the future. So
Heather just posted to a documentary about a hack on an Iranian nuclear facility on.
Oh yeah, baby. I appreciate that, Heather. I love these things just to learn more about what's going on and I mean, I never want anybody to be, to suffer. I'm just always interested on, oh my.
Although it was, I don't know. There was a lot of people that were pretty happy when Parlor got hacked.
That was another thing. Okay, so let's talk about that. So we'll talk about it quickly. So thank you, Heather. Everyone should join up. It's the movie that talks about how the CIA, and it was the CIA apparently, hacked into, correct me if I'm wrong, Heather, hacked into the Iranian nuclear power plant. They did Stuxnet, and what was crazy is that they didn't release that code to anybody, so nobody knew what was happening. And then all of a sudden, with a couple of things that were released, one of the things that was released was that source code. So all of a sudden, everybody could do this. So just a reminder of everybody doing this. I didn't mean to switch here. What did I meant to do? Yes. Sorry. One more time. What
Not
was
sharing your screen?
Parlor got hacked because they didn't secure their endpoints. That's it. I could go and see that I made a request for ID1 because my message was ID1, and so therefore it makes sense that I update and pull ID1. Well, apparently, if I just walked the code, as it's called, we can do ID2. Just don't mind that we have 10 minutes. We'll be almost finished.
Well, there was two things that happened that at the same, like on the same day that made it so that Parlor could get hacked.
Yes, tell me.
The first thing was that this was, so if you don't know what Parlor was, it was this like right-wing extremist social media website, and so two things happened at this, like literally on the same day, that allowed them to get hacked. So the first thing that happened was that their CTO was bragging that they had reached so many members that they had to redo their database, which immediately told every hacker in the world that they were using an integer for the IDs for the database, which is something you should never use for users. User ID should be a randomly generated string like a UUID, which is made for that. But they were using auto incrementing integers. And when you have an auto incrementing integer, if I'm user like 2578, I could assume that like maybe Damien, who signed up right before me, is 2577. And I could also assume that the administrator is probably user ID number 1. And that was the first mistake, was that he bragged about that on Twitter, and it let people know that they had that potential exploit. And on the same day, they were using Twilio for two-factor authentication to send text, where it's like, type in this code that we're going to text you. And Twilio decided, look, we're no longer going to work with you because you support, these extremist ideals. And so Twilio pulled their support from Parlor on that same day. So Parlor had to turn off two-factor authentication, which meant that it was very easy for people to hack into each other's accounts. And so people were able to hack into the administrator's account and download the entire database, which not only included everyone who was on Parlor and every message, but Parlor also used to let you create anonymous comments on people's posts. But in the database, it stored who those were. So these anonymous comments that people made suddenly got released of who made those comments. And yeah, the whole database got dumped, and it was
that's crazy.
It was pretty hilarious. Unless you're a right-wing extremist, it was a pretty funny.
Or the owner of the website.
This is what you get for lowest bidder.
Yes, right. There you go.
So just for the fun of it, the same thing happened to Google decades ago.
And AT&T.
Google did Gmail with sequential session keys. The session ID that they put in the browser, they were sequential. So if you figured that out, all you did was change it and you were into somebody else's Gmail.
Sweet.
Default in Rails also.
With to who, Patrick?
Rails used to have sequential IDs by default too.
Right. Well, but even then, there should normally be a way, to secure your endpoints, which is one of the slides with that. So regardless of whether that I'm ID 5, the thing about it is what can you do? Like people say that everybody, like I have my Ethereum address, everybody knows it. And everybody can now check how much Ethereum I have in there, but you can't do anything about it because it's secure, right? In other words, the ways to get to it is secure. So those endpoints, regardless of whether, and I agree with you, it looks like a lot of F-ups in all situations, but, make sure to, exactly, there's Todd, he just shared his, but even though you have it, you can't do anything about it other than, what's it called? Docs, I believe it's saying, figure out that how much money he has and what he's been doing with it. Cool. Big deal, right? I mean, congratulations. Something that everybody else knows too, right? So, but it's protecting those NFTs, endpoints.
Right?
Yeah. So you guys want to, if you haven't done so, and please, we're not trying to stop the conversation. Just I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to go to the win.floridajs.com. Should get your ticket in there. Go ahead and try my security. What I've done is I've done some magic so that if you refresh your page, you're not going to get a new number. Prove me wrong. Apparently, some of you just did because there's more tickets than there are people here. No, just kidding. Josh is pointing out that he's the one that did it. So, but I'm good with that. I have a magical box you guys can't see here unless you're seeing the screen, and I can go ahead and choose a winner. Do we have everybody there? Does anybody that's still waiting, please let me know by chat or by unmuting yourselves.
I don't trust this. We need a spinning wheel and a ball to come up with a number.
That would make sense. That would be more trustworthy. That would be actually someone pulling it out, pulling a video and all that. I can record myself. Would you like me to show you that video of me coming in and dropping a coffee with me while I'm still hitting?
I'd rather have Vanna White.
We could do that as well.
Oh man, yeah.
Dennis, you can tell from the fact that this is my garage that I have a lot of money, so that is a possibility.
I would rather have Damian Montero.
I appreciate that. I don't usually fit in her dresses, but for you guys, I'll try.
I don't know. I spent my childhood chasing Vanna White because she had a condo down the lake.
And now you're going to spend the rest of your life chasing after me because after you see me in the dress?
He spends the rest of his life with a restraining order.
Yes.
It's amazing how quickly conversations can degrade in this channel.
Okay, we got 3 minutes left, David.
Okay. So listen, what I'm going to do here is, wow, everybody could go ahead and look at your laptop or your phone, whatever you use to get there. What you should see on your screen, and we see it over here, is that there should be a number that come up only on yours if you won and things like that. Unless, and I kept asking people to do this, unless you happen to look really carefully and realize that the page you're looking at right now, it's a different page than what you went to, and you went to that page. Hopefully you went to your own page, win.floridajs.com, and you should see there. Did anybody get it that already has? Is anybody on the call that got it? Perfect, Josh. You did?
I got the number 8.
I'm sorry?
I got the number 8.
All right. So Josh, you told me you're getting number 8. You're going to fight it with
wait. Did you guys win, or did you see? Were you on the same screen as Damien, or did you have?
That's the question.
I actually have it on my browser window.
Okay.
My ticket number 8.
Perfect. So Ludwig, I know you, so I'll give you the license when I see you tomorrow.
Okay.
So you will get it there. It's anything for the rest of you that haven't gotten it already. I know a lot of you guys have, because we've been having this for a couple of years now. It is a license to any software. I literally used one of them here because if you guys don't use them, they kind of go to the bottom of the list, and I kind of quickly grab them and either give them to different people or utilize them themselves. I had here in this Linux box a need for idea J. Don't what's it called? Don't bring me back. I needed to do some Java programming, and so therefore, don't laugh. And I used one of the licenses. I now have software that costs $300 for now a year. And you might say, what happens after a year? Only thing that happens is you stop getting updates. You can continue using the software, and that means that the software is yours for life. So regardless, even if you're getting it for a year, that's not that bad. Look, I'll give it to you. Don't leave Visual Studio Code. I love Visual Studio Code. I just need to do some Java programming, and it had some built-in things in here. But I'll show you all the different software, all the different services that we have in there. I apologize. Once we did that, I should have switched to you guys. This is more interesting than to my screen and all that. So thank you very much for letting me present. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate it. Tell me. Yes.
Thanks for presenting, and good night, everybody.
Yeah,
I love the if you can reach out to me by email, by Slack, by grabbing my hair in the middle of the hallway while I'm passing by, whatever
hair
nightclub or whatever.
Did you say hair?
Right here.
I did note if you see me in a particular nightclub, and where there's some nightclubs I wear hair, grab me. Let me know what you want to hear. This one too, yes.
He was shadow banned
from Thursday nights.
Hey, speaking of grabbing,
yes.